Hey guys, today I'll be discussing communication with you. And the different types of communication are interpersonal, mass communication, public communication. There's all different kinds of communication. But the kind that I would like to specifically focus on is interpersonal communication. And that's when two people form a relationship through communicating. And when you think of two people communicating, you think of texting, phone calls, face-to-face conversation, or even writing a letter. But the one thing that people don't think about all the time is how do people that can't hear communicate? And that is ASL, or otherwise known as American Sign Language. And that's what I want to focus on today. Because when you communicate, you don't necessarily think of using your hands as a form of communication. So American Sign Language was developed in 1817 in Hartford, Connecticut at the American School for the Deaf. And it approximately takes 4 to 6 years to become fluent in sign language. And there's also different variations of sign language. In Europe, they use British Sign Language even though they speak English. And what that means is the British will use sign language with their hands. So whereas we would do something like thank you, they would do something where they have a letter on their hand. So they have their other hand behind the first one to represent a letter, whereas we don't do that here. And people assume that ASL is just straight hand language. You're just using your hands and that's it. But facial expressions are also very popular and important in ASL. And an example of that would be saying the word smile. You can spell out smile, but most people that have to use ASL represent it in moving the two hands in a U shape. So that's how you represent a smile. Another way facial expressions are very important in gestures are because if you try to represent or gesture the term I know, you put your finger to your temple and you nod your head up and down. And that is showing the other person that you know and you understand. And that's a way that facial expressions and body posture is also very important in ASL language. Another factor that people do not consider is when babies are born. If a baby is born deaf into a family that is not, then the parents have to learn how to communicate to the child by using sign language. And it's the same way for if the baby is born where they can hear but the parents are deaf. The baby will have to learn those signs to communicate with the parents. And it's very easy to teach a baby sign language, but you have to teach them first the words that they're going to need to know on a day-to-day basis, like mom, dad, yes, no, asking for things that they need, and stuff like that. And a baby can pick up on sign language even when they're very young. But in order to gesture back to the parents, they're going to have to be ages closer to 1. Because they can understand the sign language, but in order to give it back, they're going to have use of their hands and learn how to use their hands. And they don't get that function until they're about ages of 1 or older. And that's basically the gist of American Sign Language. So, thank you for listening.